If I could encourage anybody listening to this or watching this to do this one thing, would be to aim to get 90% retention on your first 6 seconds. If you can get 90% retention on your first 6 seconds, you are going to be in the top 1% of content being served up to the algorithm.
You're watching Marketing Misfits with Norm Farrar and Kevin King.
So, Mr. Farrar, how are you doing? How's the Great White North?
It's not so great. It's white and it's friggin' cold.
Well,
every day, this is really cool, by the way. I see a city that gets formed out on the ice, and then by the end of the day, 90% of these ice huts get taken away. It's all these fishermen that go out and, these crazy fishermen that sit out in these tents and try to catch, whitefish. So
they stay out there until the beer is gone, and then they come back in?
Yeah, usually. Yeah, that's about right.
So, do you ever hear stories of them falling in? The ice is pretty thick, but do you hear stories of
No, all the time. Not when it's pretty thick out there right now, but there's some idiots. This just happened. I live on a huge lake, 20 miles long. And somebody just last week went closer to the open water and the ice broke off. So he was set adrift. So they had to get him rescued. It's crazy. And then you can't joke about this, but last year, a pickup and family went down. So snowmobiles go down. It's all sorts of different things.
Oh, I'll pass on that. I've ridden a snowmobile across a frozen lake, and what was it in Finland? No, it was in Sweden, northern Sweden, up in the Arctic Circle.
Yeah,
and that freaked me out just going across that, because I'm like, man, what if I just happen to hit that one little piece where it's like kaboom, and you're down in it.
I've snowmobiled across open water. So where I used to live down in Kitchener, we'd go across the water, and I'm not that experienced of a snowmobiler. I've been out a bunch of times, but whenever there's open water, it's interesting. You got to give the gas, just like you.
I tried to give you last week. I tried to warm you up, because I was at a convention in Vegas, and whenever we're in Vegas, me and you always like to do two things. What are those two things, Norm? What are those two things?
Cigars and Kobe beef.
That's right. Cigars.
And you're a son of a bitch for sending me the pictures of you smoking a cigar and just I don't know how many slices of Kobe beef you had.
It was sushi samba, and then smoking cigars at the 8 Lounge in Resortsville.
I had one word for you, bastard.
Yeah, I saw that. I texted that picture, and I was like, they're like, oh, will he respond? I said, well, it's kind of late, but yeah, I'll probably get a one-word response back.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you sent back. But I was just trying to get you missing things, and it worked, right? It works, because now you're motivated to go to Vegas here in about a month or so.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I'm not even going to say what I'll do. I got something up my sleeve. But you know what?
And speaking of Vegas, we have, just real quick, before we get into our guest today, if depending on when this episode comes out, on March 27th in Las Vegas, we're doing a live broadcast of Marketing Misfits at the Prosper Show. So the Prosper Show is one of the biggest. I am. I think you're going to be there. You said you're going to be there. If not, don't worry. It's you're just part of the team. So
I ride your coattails.
So we're doing a live podcast on the 27th, along with some drinks and some food, and that's March 27th. We'll be announcing the location soon, and the guests. We got a really big guest that's coming on that. It's during the Prosper Show, which is about 2,000 Amazon sellers. And a lot of you may know that Norm and I both have pretty big podcasts in the Amazon space, and then we do this podcast together in the marketing space. And today's guest, if you've been living on a rock, you may not have seen our guest today, but she's one of the most successful people on social media out there. I mean, we'll talk about her story, starting from from singing to getting billions of views per month. That's with a B, billions. How would you? I mean, just imagine, Norm, if we got billions of views on this podcast per month. How much Kobe beef and what kind of cigars we could be smoking?
Look, I'm happy if we get 100.
Well, maybe she'll tell us how to get up to 100.
Hey, that's why. That's it. That's what.
Maybe next week we need a couple of tips. No,
we want 101.
We saw her speak at an event in Nashville last year, and then we're impressed. She was on stage at this dinner, and she was just kind of telling her story and telling what she does and her strategies. And she works with many of the biggest brands in the world. So this is going to be an awesome episode. Her name, if you haven't heard of it, she's got a company called Viralish, as well as a few other things she's involved in. But her name is Adley Kinsman. So Norm, you want to put your nose down and hit the button with your nose. See if you can do it with your nose instead of your finger, and actually bring her on. Can you do it with your nose? Can you do it? Looking.
Hey, does your voice get on your nerves too? I just gotta put that out there. Hey, Adley, how are you?
What's up, guys? I don't know if you can see me. I've been giggling backstage this whole time. You guys are some food. You're gonna have some fun. I can already tell.
I have one question. Can you get us to 101?
I'll get you to that 110.
Boom.
I like it.
So how you doing? I'm glad to have you on here. Thanks for taking some time. I know you're a busy lady. Thanks for taking some time to come and join us today and have a little bit of fun.
I'm excited to talk about my favorite thing in the world, marketing. At least that's what I hope we're talking about.
Is that this is a marketing show? Norm, you didn't tell me this is a marketing show.
I thought it was cooking.
I thought it was.
It's a Kobe beef show, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Woo.
It's a Kobe beef show. Exactly. So you some people may know you from different places. Some people know you in the social space. Some people, you're behind the scenes on a lot of some of the most successful stuff out there. But you kind of got. Some people may know you from about 10 years ago or so. You were on The Voice, right? One of the contestants.
Gosh, yeah. You know what? I try to forget. But thank you for reminding me, Kevin.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That did happen. But I like how you teed that up, actually. And you did an introduction to similar to others where they're like, you may not know her unless you might have been living under a rock if you don't know who this is. But a lot of people don't know who I am, but they've seen our content. So what we do is take a little bit of a different approach as a marketer, actually, where a lot of influencers or content creators, they build everything around their name and their ecosystem. But as we all know, as marketers, there's a lot of fallibility in that, to where it started all as me, but then we went really deep and seeded content and creators and content that nobody would really know that we're behind, so that we could have a much bigger width to us in case and when the platforms would shake, or my name would shake, or influence would shake, or just change with the wind, And so we took a little bit of a different approach. So you may not have seen me, but I can almost guarantee you've seen our content.
Well, I want to know, you were a singer. How did you transform from being a singer into this viral guru?
Frustration, to be honest with you. In music, and it's changed a little bit, but still, our viral friends in music, you're still waiting for a suit behind a desk to truly give you permission to be successful. You're still waiting for that publisher or that label or that bank or that manager or that TikTok algorithm to honor you in a way that you can entertain and make money. So one, there's still a lot of gatekeepers in music. Two, even if you've broken past those gatekeepers and now you have the leverage and you have the attention by going direct to consumer, music itself doesn't really make a lot of money. The product is free. So you've got two big things working against you in music. And seeing the writing on the wall for number two was another reason I wanted to make that transition. And also I knew I just wanted to make money someday. And I knew that it wasn't really going to be in music, or at least that the odds were not going to be in my favor. But my frustration was really, waiting for permission from that suit behind a desk to tell me if, when, where, how I could be successful. And so all I wanted to do was entertain. I honestly didn't care if it was singing or not. That was just the gift and opportunity I had at the time. But I wanted to go out and entertain and encourage and inspire people and to give them hope and comfort in their own authenticity and ability. So if that's the goal, I realized I could just turn on a camera and do that and then put it out there. And by golly, actually get paid for it. Oh man, this makes it a pretty easy decision.
Now, you were pretty unique in the way that you started your viral videos. I remember you talking about this on stage, and everybody has at one point seen one of your videos for sure. You want to explain a little bit about that? Like, how did you get started on that? Was it just because you wanted to have some fun?
Kinda. Yeah. It feels like it started in 3 different waves. Like what we are at now started in a different tipping point, but where it really all started was I was touring and trying to figure out how to get my music out there. And I realized that if you want to solve your own problems, the quickest thing to do is solve somebody else's. So if I pictured a group of people sitting around and just talking about songs, how could I get them to talk about my song? And I was always way more interested in how to market the music than I honestly ever was even making it, because I had just piles of songs that I'd written and I produced that nobody had ever heard and were never going to hear unless I found a way to market them. And so it was really out of frustration that started really reading everything I could and listening to everything I could about marketing. And through that journey, I also discovered making videos. And while I was touring, I made some videos on and off the road with my chickens at the time. And people just loved my chickens. They really attached to them. And it gave them a different point of attachment and relatability versus just the singing career. They were like, man, I love this funny girl who loves chickens. And so that I made a video with them. It did 19 million views overnight, grew me 100,000 followers.
Wow.
Like, wow. That point of relatability is the difference. It's giving you, it was more value offering, even though it's just entertainment. Think about it. Because in music, we're like, hey, look at me. Listen to my song. Come to my show. Buy my next record. Tell all your friends. And it's very self-serving. It's very self-promoting. But if I'm just making entertaining content, then I'm meeting people where they're at. I'm giving them something to say, oh my gosh, this is so me. Babe, this is so us. Hey, we should try this. And it's about them and giving them something to be entertained by or suggest that they share with a partner. And that was really the light bulb for me to where we started making videos and then got really, really addicted to it.
So when you're doing entertaining videos, there's a lot of people that are artists and they don't know the marketing. There's people that know the marketing but aren't artists. But then when you mix the two, which you have done, that's a skill set that is not as common out there. And how do you switch from, so you get the attention and you go viral and you get the 19 million views and stuff with entertainment, but what do you do to actually switch that to actually making money? So if you're entertaining people and you're not really pitching, you're not really selling, is it the entertainment is just building the awareness, building the following, building the brand? It's that Gary Vaynerchuk, stab, 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 right hook or whatever? Or what is the...
Stab. It's jab, jab. But it's kind of like...
Stab, stab, shoot.
We're going to have a viral piece of this.
Bang, bang.
Bang, 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 bang. You're dead.
I can't wait to say that. Courtesy of Kevin King. I forgot the question. But okay, yeah. So the chicken video, that really was my light bulb moment, right? I think that was 2017. So it didn't start monetizing until 2020. So 3 years of me being like, oh, video's the jam. And nobody really watched my longer form videos. Then I started vlogging for like the 13 people who cared. So it wasn't like every video after that was a hit. It was a big banger that then grew me that audience. And then it was still trying to figure out what is my lane. I can't necessarily recreate that viral moment, but I wanted to. So I started trying to reverse engineer what was making videos work. But none of this was making money because it was mostly on Facebook. And Facebook didn't really monetize well until really middle of 2019. But I was still figuring out how to do it then. And then it was once mid-roll ads turned on, same platform or same way you're monetizing on YouTube is through ads. Well, then Facebook started putting ads in the videos. And so we were making money that way, but we weren't making any meaningful money until videos would hit 1 million views or more. So unless a video was hitting 1 million views or more, it was just maybe $20 here, $30 there, And so when a video would go over 1 million, and then when the world shut down and everybody's on their phone, it was a beautiful disaster in our case, because everyone's glued to their phone. I'm making as much content as I can. And then it really started going up to 20,000 a month, 50,000 a month, 100,000 a month plus. And we're just, what is happening? Don't even know how to handle it. Pinch me. We can't believe this is true. All the way into single videos earning $250,000. Like that was such a unique time in history too, that I don't know if it's that replicatable. And then it happened on Snapchat in 2021, where there was that kind of money to be made on Snapchat. And they were giving away $1 million a day on Spotlight. And we would stay up all day, all night, posting videos every 5 minutes, as fast as we could make them, as fast as we could distribute them. So, but note that I was doing it for 5 years, making no money. That's where the skill sets were developed, to where the right timing in the market hit. I was ready for it, but it was making no money for the first 5-ish years. And since really 2011, when I even started making music, you're making content back then too, but just getting good at the art of storytelling. And then it was the right preparation meeting opportunity. And now say mid-roll ads, and the platforms weren't even paying us, because anybody in that game knows that it can do like that. And you're building a castle on sand. So then it was, hey, if I lose my page, we're out of money. Or the money stops, right? Like something bad is really going to happen. So we have to figure out a way to spread it out to where we're not dependent on one of these pages or Facebook pages or Snapchat shows. So that's really when we started branching out from just being Adley content to going a lot wider.
So is there a formula? If I hear this all the time, when people they want to go viral. I hear it all the time, and they don't all the time. Like very, very few people go viral. A lot of the times it's a fluke, but is there a formula?
1,000%. At least I will die on the hill that there is, because we've seen it work time and time again, and we teach one. Ours is called the billion view formula. And this works. It has worked since 2020. We look at our thousands of viral videos that we made, and it's very clear to us, when you rise the best ones to the top, a formula just became very, very evident. And then we took that formula, put it into essentially a checklist, and then we started making videos only against that checklist. And our batting average went to 7 out of 10 videos going over probably 2 million views.
Are you serious?
Our batting average went from just kind of guessing to using this checklist against over 50 different niches. I mean, we could barely miss, like 7 out of 10. And we still use that formula today, whether we're designing an ad for Land Rover, I'm pranking my husband, we're selling content on TikTok Shop. It works pretty much every single time for any industry that you can imagine. And that is why I'm so passionate about teaching it to as many people as possible.
What's up, everybody? Your good old buddies Norm and Kevin here. And I've got an Amazon creative team that I want to introduce you to.
That's right, Kevin. It's called the House of AMZ, and it's the leading provider in combining marketing and branding with laser focus on Amazon.
Hey, Norm, they do a lot of really cool stuff if you haven't seen what they do, like full listing graphics, premium A+ content, storefront design, branding, photography, renderings, packaging design, and a whole lot of other stuff that Amazon sellers need.
Yeah, and guess what? They have 9 years active in this space. So you can skip the guesswork, trust the experts. There's no fees. There's no retainers. You pay per project.
So if you want to take your product to the next level, check out House of AMZ. That's houseofamz.com. House of AMZ. Can you share a couple of things? I know you don't want to give away the whole formula. You teach that, but can you share a couple just of the pieces, or the first part, the hook, or whatever it may be, just for the audience a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So the main thing, if I could encourage anybody listening to this or watching this to do this one thing, would be to aim to get 90% retention on your first 6 seconds. If you can get 90% retention on your first 6 seconds, you are going to be in the top 1% of content being served up to the algorithm. A lot of people, and this contradicts a lot of advice, and I'm aware of that, because a lot of people will say, speak directly to your avatar with exactly what your niche is and make your point. And you can, but don't expect a million view video, at least not consistently and at least not predictably at scale. So you may have a fluke if you speak directly to that avatar. But if you're in a small subset of a niche, we're not talking about virality here. We're talking about you doing middle of the funnel or bottom of the funnel content, which we teach too. But really, most people need to work on their top of funnel content, because we are in the greatest wave of advertising that the world has ever seen. So if you make a piece of content and don't niche it down right at the top, but you aim to say, I'm going to put out this piece of content and I want everybody who scrolls upon it to at least be curious and hooked for the first 6 seconds, you are set up to win. So how do we hook everybody with the first 6 seconds? You have to non-negotiably do 2 things. You have to spark an emotion in that viewer. You have to make them feel something. Fear is a big one. Shock is a big one. And pitting 2 ideologies against each other is a great way to do that. The second thing it has to do is set up a curiosity gap. That's going to draw us in, and that's going to make us watch past the first 6 seconds. Right? So if you can spark an emotion and put a curiosity gap in those first 6 seconds that appeal to the widest group of people possible, you're going to be set up for success, because we could talk about all the other aspects of the formula and the payoff and the engagement tactics and these other things, but literally none of them matter if you don't nail that first 6 seconds. A lot of times people are like, hey, I tried this technique in the suspense about a minute and a half into the video and it didn't work. I'm like, okay, why are you saying it didn't work? Well, because no one purchased or no one watched the rest of my video. I say, okay, well, pull up your retention line. I'm like, well, no kidding, Becky. You lost 90% of people, or you lost 75% of people in your first 4 seconds. Nobody even made it to see what you did a minute and a half in. That technique was irrelevant at that point because you didn't stop the scroll well. So if we can teach you to master this, then we can start working on everything else.
I see a lot of people that take a piece of their video, especially podcasters. They'll take some quote, maybe you say something and they'll put that in the beginning. My First Million does this a lot. They'll take a little piece of a quote and they'll put it for the first 6 seconds. And that's supposed to be their 6 second hook to get you in. And they're trying to figure out when are they going to talk about this one thing. Is that the way to do it? Or is it better to do like a lot of the top people say is create the thumbnail first, create the 6 seconds, and as long as it's cohesive with the rest of what you got to deliver on whatever you're talking about in the 6 seconds, and then go and do the rest of the video after that, versus doing the video and then trying to figure out what's the title going to be, what's the thumbnail going to be, what's the first 6 seconds going to be. What's your thought process or thoughts on that?
I think the best, most seasoned people design their videos in reverse. Like you already know what you want your comment section to be. You already know what the caption and the thumbnail is. You're not just shooting content and then being like, where was the goodness in there? You're not just throwing it at a wall. Not if you're treating this like a job. You're designing it in advance and you're baiting things and even what you're saying for what you want people to be talking about in the comments. And so that's actually step 4 of our formula is engagement tactics, where we design the videos in reverse and we design exactly what we want people to feel and what we want them saying in the comments, especially if we want them to buy something, And so we'll have little techniques to get people to just, who would never normally comment, we'll push on their sensibilities enough to where they feel compelled to say something, at least compelled to keep watching. And these sensibilities are typically in line with whatever emotion we identified we want to touch on in the hook. And then we'll just press on things. And we're able to do that in multiple different niches. But really, going viral is much more of a psychology play than it is anything else.
Go ahead, Norm.
I'm just listening to what you had to say, and I'm thinking about this podcast. Something that we've never said, Kevin, during this podcast is anything about a comment. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Give us your feedback in the comment section. Is that something like, this is a pre-recorded podcast. Is that something that we should be targeting as well as podcast hosts?
I can't speak to podcasts because I don't have one as far as what that does for your ratings, but at least as far as your loyalty, and engaging with your audience, I can only imagine that's a great thing. So if I was you guys and I was thinking of how to design, I'm air quoting, that comment section or your reviews, even just actively calling attention to it. Say Kevin's telling some story, or you're telling the Iceland story, and say what you did in that moment. You can even say, and I don't know if I did the right thing, guys, or any other parents out there, or call out that avatar and say, I let my kid do this, and I don't know if this was a good parenting move or a bad parenting move, but what do you guys think I actually could have done differently in that moment? Should I have sped up? Should I have slowed down? Like I'm open to minds wiser than mine, but just invite them into a conversation and bait them in a nice way. We're not trying to gamify the audience, but really just creating community in a tribe where you're opening a conversation where they're just not always on the receiving end. And you do that month over month, year over year, you've really built something special.
Yeah, I can really see that building a community.
Yeah. Or say you guys would read your reviews. Like, hey, we were reading our iTunes reviews or our Spotify reviews, and Brittany said this, and it really made me think this. So I appreciate that, Brittany. Thanks for listening. That really got me thinking. But that kind of subliminally sparks people to think, oh, wow, they're going to Spotify and reading their comments. I want to go drop something because I've got something to say, and they're probably going to get reviews.
And those comments too is like what helps things go by. I mean, a lot of these algorithms work off of the engagement and how soon after a video post, and they give it a certain amount of time, how much comments and interaction there is, whether they show it. Like Facebook doesn't, if you got 1 million followers, they don't show your video all 1 million. They show it to a subset of that. And if there's comment and engagement and then watch through, then they start showing it to more and more, and they roll it out. So that those comments are important. But what about, like you said, you diversified onto different platforms, didn't want, just in case one went down. Talk about a little bit, if you could, the difference between doing stuff for YouTube, which is long lasting, it sits there forever, versus doing something for Snapchat or TikTok or Facebook or Reels that's basically has a shelf life of hours or maybe a couple of days at most, versus something on TikTok that can keep generating money and stays there for years. What's the difference? Is there a different approach? Or because I see a lot of people, they take the same content and they just slice in the different dimensions and just put the same stuff on different channels. Can you talk to us about your philosophies on those things?
Absolutely. And I'll clarify, because where we started diversifying was, yes, 2 different platforms. But when we really started diversifying is I went into a publisher model. So when I say you've seen my content, even if you haven't seen me, we were staging everything from Karen's on an airplane to wild things happening on Ring camera, CCTV footage, cooking channels, prank channels, published like DIY channels, compilation fail channels, like all different types of content that I would direct, produce, or hire out to be done so that we could just maintain revenue, realizing, hey, I want to create entertaining content that I'm not the face of, but I know CCTV in the form of horror, because true crime is really hot. I want to produce that, but I can't be an Amazon delivery driver. So I'm going to go hire an actor from down the street at Belmont to go be a paid actor and create this stuff so I can diversify, not just platform, but I can diversify the type of content that I'm making and earning off of to entertain more people, even if it's stuff I would never watch. So I wanted to make that point of clarification. But also, when you think about all the different platforms, some people, my theory is really specialize in one platform, but post to all of them, because you never know which platform is actually going to pop off. We had somebody who was just like hell bent on Instagram, and they were like, I don't want to focus on YouTube or TikTok or Facebook or anything else. Instagram is where my people are. And I said, will you just do me a favor? And will you please just post on YouTube Shorts, please? And lo and behold, YouTube Shorts went through the roof for them. And that's ended up being where they found their tribe and their audience. But they were just shortchanging themselves. They made the content anyways. Why would you not post it everywhere? But to your point, Kevin, you do have to be thoughtful about how you're changing everything to speak the language of the platform. Because if you're measuring your audience too, you're going to recognize you probably do have a different audience on TikTok. And the way that they speak over there is different from YouTube, which is metadata heavy, and people are going to search out things and learn from things. So the way that you distribute and publish the content, even if it's pretty much the same clip, should feel and look different and be packaged in a way that speaks the language of the platform if you really want to maximize it.
So we deal with a lot of different brands, and some of the questions that we get back, especially if we say, oh, we're going to do this on TikTok or we're going to do this on this platform or that platform, says that they goes against their brand voice, their tone. Do you think that brands can go outside of that brand voice and do something on TikTok completely outside of what their brand is? And yeah, I'm just curious. I'm just looking at your face smiling.
We just had a big celebrity brand on TikTok. And so they hired our company to launch them on TikTok, $250,000 campaign. And they said they're very, very strict with their brand guidelines. And I'm just like, oh gosh, here we go. And we pushed the boundaries a little bit, and we just tried some new stuff saying, just trust us. We're not going to disrespect the brand or do anything outside of that, but you have to bend on these few things. So just let us try it and let the affiliates get creative and do what we're thinking here. And absolutely skyrocketed them. And they never would have done that. They never would have tried. But the changes that we made that were outside of their brand guidelines and their scope, and they're doing millions of dollars a month on other platforms. Great. But when it comes to TikTok, if you don't know what works there, you need to trust the people who do. So let us push those boundaries, because when they're seeing that brand lift on TikTok, guess what? That they're seeing an ecosystem effect of now their Amazon is going up, their Shopify is going up, their Instagram's growing up because they saw major brand lift by finally having a presence on TikTok. So you do have to do what is platform native. And so don't change the heart of your brand. Don't change the main voice of it. But if I'm talking to you right now, my voice is going to adjust versus if I'm talking to one of my team members or I'm getting ready for bed, right? Like your heart is still the same and what you stand for is still the same, but you can adjust the tone of your brand. And I think that you should.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Kevin and Norm here with a quick word from one of our sponsors, 8Fig. Let me tell you about a platform that's changing the game for Amazon sellers. That's right, it's called 8Fig. On average, sellers working with 8Fig grow up to 400% in less than a year.
8Fig offers both funding and free tools for e-commerce growth and cash flow management. And here's how it works.
8Fig provides flexible, data-driven funding tailored to your exact needs. You know, they could fund anywhere from up to $50,000 all the way up to $10 million.
8Fig gives you free tools to forecast demand, manage inventory, and analyze cash flow.
Visit 8fig.co, that's 8fig.co, to learn more or check the link in the show notes below.
Just mention Marketing Misfits and get 25% off your cost.
That's 8fig.co, 8fig.co. See you on the other side. How do you approach when you're going to do a video? Do you do research and like what are the trigger points, or what's hot right now, or what can we leech on the back of that's in the news or something? Or do you just have you or a group of writers sit around and just come up with great ideas and throw stuff against the wall? Or is there a scientific process to actually choosing what you're going to do? Or is it just come up with a lot of cool ideas and let's just see which one works?
You say, is there a scientific process to coming up with our videos? I would say for us, the scientific process is the formula. It is that tried and true for us. And then no matter what bucket of content we're doing, if we're playing off a trend of something happening in the news, if we're doing green screen tutorial, if we're doing straight up hard selling posts, bottom of the funnel, if we're doing reaction videos, any bucket and style of content that we're doing just hits the formula checklist. And then we can hit any bucket of content, any niche that we want, and we know it is going to be successful. So that's really our scientific method. And then we can apply it to comparing, contrasting, or any other bucket that we want to. But that, for us, the billion view formula is the gold standard.
Is there a type of stuff that typically goes viral more, whether it be scary or horror or shocking or comedy or something? Or is it just it runs the gamut? Or is there something that if you can nail this type of video that you're going to have a greater chance of success?
Well, I think a lot of things go with the times, like true crime. We wouldn't have said that 10 years ago. So that's something to hit on now and maybe put that undertone in there and test that. But and maybe this is personal bias, but comedy, I think, is evergreen. It can be 100% understood without sound. It doesn't have language barriers. It's carried in your face and in the way that you use your body. So I think comedy is really, really powerful, and everybody wants it and likes it and appreciates it, to where if you can nail that, I think you're going to be pretty much set up for success.
So do you think that if Kevin and I, during our podcast event in Vegas, dress up in sumo wrestler suits in a mud wrestling ring
With Mike Tyson.
That would go viral?
You know what I do? I'll personally come film that and insert
Okay.
it.
All right. I'm in, Kev. Let's get you in there.
We just need a little part of the stage has some ice on it so you can fall through it.
I think we should mud wrestle to the point where we're exhausted, and then we start feeding each other. How's that? Is that good?
Well, that's part of it. I mean, take a look at Mr. Beast. I mean, what do you? He's 374 million followers. I mean, Daryl Ives helped him, or Eves, or however, helped him actually do that. Brilliant YouTube guy. And a lot of his stuff was shock video or taking it to that next level, or overproduced, or spending crazy money to do things. And now you have a lot of people, his manifesto got leaked a few months ago, or his little internal document of how he does stuff. And that was like a hot little thing. People were trying to get their hands on it, but people can't replicate it. What is it? It's always like good ideas are a dime a dozen, but the execution's where it's made. So what does it take when it comes to video? Because there's a lot of people like, oh man, I got some funny ideas, or I got some great ideas, but then they go to do it and it just turns into so what separates besides your formula, going by your formula, what separates the execution of the formula versus just following the formula?
I have so many things I want to say about this, but you really did nail it when you said that it is all execution. It's not necessarily having a great idea. If you have a great idea, awesome. But if you execute it poorly, it's never going to go anywhere. And like, you can make a video watching paint dry if you storytell it well enough, right? And you make us care, and you have stakes that are high enough. Like, you can really make a video about anything if you know how to storytell it well enough. So when it comes to execution, one, I think it's a discipline thing of really being a student of the craft. But even more so than that, I would say it's the amount of reps that you put in, because you can't learn just by reading it on a screen and studying his manifesto. You have to learn by trying and failing and executing 1,000 times. They did a study on YouTube of anybody who had crossed 100,000 subscribers, and almost all of the people who had crossed 100,000 subscribers had published at least 1,000 pieces of content.
Oh, wow.
I think that's the stat. Don't hold me to that, but it didn't shock me in the slightest, because I was like, yeah, they got their reps in. Usually everyone's trying to figure out how to make it perfect before they even start. Oh man, that's the biggest thing I wish I could just smack right out of people. You have to start, get data, and get your 100 bad videos out. Like, everyone has 100 bad videos in them that they just have to get out. So that is your first job, because how you start is most certainly not how you're going to finish, but you are only going to figure that out by trying and iterating. You're not going to figure it out up here.
So too many people they start doing this, think they're going to do something. They put out 10, 15 videos, and they're getting 100 views, 30 views, 1,000 views, and then they just give up too soon.
They're like, oh, I had the wrong idea. Back to the drawing board. And I'm like, no, not back to the drawing board. Like, kind of, but keep going. Like, don't stall out. Like, keep iterating on what's working, what's not. So say you were developing your personal brand and you really just didn't know which direction to go. I'd say, okay, let's make 30 videos this month, or let's make 60 videos this month, and let's try 10 videos in this bucket, 10 videos in this style, all the content pillars you think you're interested in, 10 in this, and 10 in this, and 10 in this. And that's put at the end of making those 60 videos, let's compare the data, and let's let the numbers decide. And you may say, wow, I was shocked. I thought buckets 1, 3, and 5 were going to slay. That's really what I liked. But you'll notice buckets 2, 5, and 12 were what the market liked. And you may have said, I really think everyone's going to love bucket 7 and 8, but they didn't. They hated it. And you actually hated making it. So that was way too much work for not enough yield. So get those out of there. But now we have data. You had enough time and you shot enough content to see, wow, I liked that, or wow, I never want to do that again, or I loved that and the market loved it too. Now month 2, we're going to double down on those ones that worked. And let's see, month 3, let's double down on that. And so you're just letting data and really your heart and alignment and did that give you energy or did you hate doing it? And then follow that model, I would say, to just make your decisions and keep moving forward.
So what are some of the most common mistakes that brands are making or even the creators are making?
With respect to what?
Just putting together a video.
Just putting together a video. The most common mistakes, I think they're paying off their videos too early. I think most people are paying off their videos too early. They're saying, here's some big hook because they know they're supposed to get the hook right. And then they're giving the solution immediately. Well, cool. Thanks for the video. I don't need to watch anymore of you just rambling, right? Your first 3 seconds need to create a curiosity gap that is so strong, you could hold their attention for 30 seconds, for 3 minutes, or for 30 minutes if you wanted to, but you are not going to scratch that itch until the last 3 seconds of that video. Look at any great sitcom. Look at any great movie. I love Liam Neeson from Taken. I think I told you guys this, where if Liam Neeson rescued his daughter halfway through the movie, are we going to keep watching the movie? No. If Ross and Rachel got back together in season 2, would we have had 10 seasons? No. You have to create this itch and do not resolve the thing fully until the very end of your video. And most people are resolving it too early. They're packing it all up front and scratching the itch. And then their video carries on for another 2 minutes and they've ruined the video. So first 3 seconds, create the itch that you do not scratch until the very last 3 seconds of your video.
Is there a perfect time? Like, is it a minute long, 90 seconds long? What do you think the perfect time is? Or am I asking you how long is a piece of string?
You're asking how long is a piece of string. I think it's totally dependent. For us, what we really look at, well, one, is it a long form dedicated platform play to YouTube, or is it a short? Is it a TikTok, and are we going for monetization or are we not? So ultimately it depends on what your goals are, but you want your percent completed of that video to be high and you want long watch time. So you're ultimately going to try to decide what is the best version of your video. Is it best and tightest with the highest percent completed at 35 seconds? Or is it good enough and are the stakes high enough in this video that it's great enough you can hold for 1:30? You know? And so it's really up to you to decide. And that's just by reps, again, and getting to know your audience and their thresholds for tolerance of time.
Now, a quick word from our sponsor, Levanta. Hey, Kevin, tell us a little bit about it.
That's right, Amazon sellers. Do you want to skyrocket your sales and boost your organic rankings? Meet Levanta, Norm and I's secret weapon for driving high-quality external traffic straight to our Amazon storefronts using affiliate marketing. That's right. It's achieved through direct partnerships with leading media outlets like CNN, Wirecutter, and BuzzFeed, just to name a few, as well as top affiliates, influencers, bloggers, and media buyers, all in Levanta's marketplace, which is home to over 5,000 different creators that you get to choose from.
So are you ready to elevate your business? Visit get.levanta.io/misfits. That's get.levanta, LEVANTA.io/misfits, and book a call and you'll get up to 20% off Levanta's gold plan today. That's get.levanta.io/misfits.
How important is continuity between the video and what you're selling? For example, in your door cam, your fake door cam video of the UPS guy coming up to the door, deliver the package, and all of a sudden a mean dog chases him all the way back to his truck, and he falls on the way, and the dog almost gets him, and whatever. And if I'm selling running shoes, maybe that makes sense because those running shoes. What if I'm selling a mop? And I do a video like that, and my ultimate goal is to get people to buy my mop brand. Is there a disconnect there? How important is that, or is it just entertain them and get their attention, and then you can do whatever? What's the importance of keeping that continuity?
the continuity of a video, if you're trying to sell something, is very important, because to your point, if Amazon delivery driver's running away because a dog's chasing him and he trips and falls, it's because he was wearing Crocs and not these running shoes. So don't do anything meaningful work wearing Crocs. Pin that as the common enemy, and then you want these shoes instead for any meaningful work. But how are you going to take that video and then try to sell a mop? You're not. It's totally unrelated. But I will say that's different than having a viral hook where a bull comes up and kicks the guy into a fence, and then it ties into you as if the bull kicked you and you're laying on the ground, and then you're saying, hey, buy first form. You just got my attention to then make a pitch, and that's funny. So outside of those types of hooks where you're using comedy as the common thread and shock, then I would say the continuity has to make sense. Otherwise, I'm confused by you.
What about the trend now? More people watching video, but it's short form and long form on actual big screens. Everybody's making stuff for mobile. That's where everybody's at. They're watching mobile when they're on the train, or they're in the bathroom, or they're waiting at the doctor's office, or whatever. But now I saw some stat like 35% or 40% of all YouTube videos watched on a big 75, 85 inch screen in a living room. So how do you make that transition? Because that can matter the quality of the video, the quality of the audio, the quality of the production, or does that really not matter? People they'll just take it as long as it's good.
I think it's very important. It's a shift that we're making too. The fact that I heard over 50% of people,
50%.
So whether it's 30 or 50, the fact that more people are watching on YouTube, short form and long form content on actual screens now, on TVs, whether you can disregard that fact if you want, but if you're a marketer, I think you have to pay attention to it, right? And you want to be there. Like if you're only making vertical content, you're not going to be as easy to consume on a big screen, and not for as long. So you're going to want to adjust and work in old school, like horizontal content into your goals if they're not there already, if you want to stay present in where the future of media is going.
Speaking of that, from a production standpoint, I used to have 3 full-time video editors and used to do some TV stuff. And for a lot of this UGC stuff and all this cheaper, more on the budget things, I think a lot of people that are creating don't understand that the audio is more important than the video a lot of times. And the audio is what really, and your facial expressions and what you see can create emotion. But you said it earlier about creating that emotion. Sound is one of the most, because it goes to Broca's area in the brain. It's one of the most powerful areas. And the sound actually helps you paint pictures and pre-frame things. And so sound is super important, whether that be music, or lyrics, or a sound effect, or whatever. You look at Dexter, the opening of Dexter, with all the sound effects, and then cutting meat, and it sounds like he's cutting skin, because of the cannibalism and all these little shape. It's all subliminal stuff. But bad sound in a video, people will not, in great 4K, 8K video, they won't. But if it's choppy video or a little bit out of focus or whatever, but the sound is good, they're more likely to watch it. So can you talk about how you guys incorporate sound into what you do and the importance of sound?
This is very interesting, Kevin, because I typically take the opposite stance of what you just said. We design, I hear what you're saying, but from our perspective, 82% of people on average watch videos without sound.
That's a good point. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
not on TV.
Right, which is where we're making adjustments. But if we're trying to appeal to most people, whether they're standing in line at a bank, they're waiting in line at Schlotsky's, they've got a kid tugging at their leg, and can they understand this with one eye open, half paying attention in any language? Can they understand what's happening because of facial expressions, because of comment? Like, can they understand this video if they never have any audio whatsoever? But to your point, if say that is already true, music and the sound is so important, because if I have one scene of the Amazon delivery driver that we were talking about earlier, and I've got horror music on versus lovey, feel good, hopeful music, I'm pre-framed to watch this video with totally different context. Now I need to make sure that my caption and description lines up with that pre-framing, because we're going to have two wildly different experiences, right? And so we would actually split test that content with the sound before we would ever post it. And I would have a different caption speaking to the horror version of it versus the different caption that spoke to the love. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful moment. So it is very, very important. And as we're moving to more content being on the big screens, we're having to level up our game too, to actually use great audio. And you see more creators using and caring about their audio now than ever before. So whether you're shooting on an iPhone or you're shooting on an 8K camera, it is something I think you have to care about now more than you ever did before, even though we've never shot a viral video on anything other than an iPhone or a Ring doorbell camera, ever. So we have quite the learning curve for us coming to level up and make sure all of our content now is thinking about the future of where content is going, of people not just streaming on mobile like they have been, but actually streaming on television.
It'd be interesting to do a test where you do the concept, like you said, and I agree with you, a lot of people watch with the sound off, where you start watching with the sound off, and it's the old Charlie Chaplin where you understand it without the sound.
Yeah.
And then at some point in there, you get them hooked, you get them watching it. At some point, it actually quits making sense unless they hit that little button to unmute their sound and actually hear the sound. And the sound then almost closes them. It's almost like it amplifies the emotion or amplifies it. Have you done anything like that? I'm just brainstorming here out the top of my head.
Okay.
That could be an interesting work, but if it's done right, I think that could be potentially pretty powerful.
We did a season of this where our Facebook rep would tell us that was a metric they were measuring, because it was a metric of sentiment and engagement if they were so compelled during this content that they went and hit sound on. Like they changed their state to consume this content. So we started playing with that a little bit to where we would make it where you had to put the sound on. We hooked you really well. And then 15, 25 seconds in, it would shift a little bit to where you needed it. Like it was a court case or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we would turn the sound on here to see what's next, and we would actually start putting that in every single video to make them turn it on once our rep told us that was a measurable metric and a meaningful one to Facebook. So it's crazy. And then they didn't care anymore, and then they wanted everybody to start making all different types of content. So we really tried our best, and still do, to have our finger on the pulse of where things are going as marketers, to not just make our videos perform well, but to also do right by the brands that we serve. We got to know what's going on.
Are you doing stuff in multiple languages? Like in the U.S., I don't know, I'm assuming the U.S. is your primary market. Are you doing stuff in Spanish and English since there's 60 million Spanish people here? Or you focus on just one language? Because things can get lost in translations or culturally as well.
Definitely. So we just started Spanish channels last year, and we've got Spanish channels across YouTube. And we experimented with that a little bit on Facebook, but we didn't continue that focus. We transitioned our Spanish efforts more so onto YouTube.
Is it worth taking that viral video and putting it into multiple languages? Because there's cultural differences, it might be lost in translation, literally.
Totally. I think it depends on what your goals are. Our goals were, we looked at the CPMs and which countries pay the best: United States, Spanish-speaking countries, and then Portuguese. Actually, I believe paid the third. So for our entertaining content, we went English and then Spanish, and then I think we probably will start translating everything into Portuguese. But that's just for our wide entertaining type of content. If you're not selling anything, in Spanish-speaking countries and you're only shipping stateside, I wouldn't say there's that big of a need.
One of the things I've noticed too when it comes to video, where Norm had asked you earlier what some of the mistakes people made, I think it's actually in the editing, getting the right editor. I think the editor, there's a director, there's someone that writes the story and you have a script, but a really talented editor that actually has experience in short form or social media or whatever can make a world of difference. Even give them the same script, the same footage, the same everything, and you have the same director, the right editor can be a deal breaker. What are your thoughts on that?
I 100% agree with you that editing is 50% of the battle. And a lot of people will hear that and be like, oh no, I have to be an editor too. But in our course, what we teach in our editing module, we don't teach like actual editing. We teach copy, paste, take that piece out editing. We teach the psychology of editing, because most of our videos, all we do is cut pieces out and put like text on screen. Like, it's not difficult editing at all. What we're training is how to think about content. So if you get the video right-ish, now the magic of it is in pacing and cadence and timing and preventing that. Your entire job is to prevent a thumb scroll. So you are to lock them in a trance, and that is done in editing.
Are you looking to quickly boost new Amazon product launches or scale up existing listings to reach first page positioning? The influencer platform Stack Influence can help.
That's right. Stack Influence pushes high volume external traffic sales straight to Amazon listings using micro influencers that you only have to pay with your products.
They've helped up-and-coming brands like Magic Spoon compete with Cheerios for top category positioning, while also helping Fortune 500 brands like Unilever launch their new products.
Right now is one of the best times to get started with Stack Influence. You can sign up at stackinfluence.com or click the link in this video down in the description or notes below and mention Misfits, that's MISFITS, to get 10% off your first campaign. stackinfluence.com.
Yeah, I have that all the time. I film some of my events and stuff, and the guy that films, he's like, "I'll edit this." Like, no, you just keep filming it. I know you're editing, you could do something, but I've got another guy. And it's hard to put a finger on exactly what it is. He just knows exactly. It's just, back on the sound, he knows, like, make sure you actually make this transition on this little ding sound or this sometimes little things are, but it's so crucial. So do you test, since editing is 50%, you said, do you make 4 or 5 different edits of a video and put it out to a subset first of your audience, or internally, or a testing service, and like, okay, this is the one that works, or we need this wasn't clear before you roll it out onto YouTube or Snap or TikTok or wherever, or you just let the platform be the decider?
Yes, we do. We do test, and I'm excited to talk about this. But before that, I even want to back up for a second and say, I do think everybody should learn how to do that basic editing that we were talking about, because it's going to make you a better creator. When you go and to set up your camera and film, you're going to be better if you had to deal with your own editing, because you're going to see, oh, wow, I made that transition so awkward, or I make this weird face all the time, or I say, a lot. So it's going to make you a better content creator if you are thinking like an editor in your head and thinking about what you're going to do. It's going to give you more options, even with just basic editing, like knowing how to add text on the screen. So I wanted to say that. But yes, we will make about 4 to 5 different edits of every single video. What are we editing?
The same editor or different editors with different approaches?
Same editor, different approaches.
Okay.
Because here's what we're editing. Here's the differences for us is the difference in maybe music without music. Mostly it's the hook though. We're doing different starting points. Say you were clipping up this podcast and you're like, oh, I love this segment. Was this a stronger hook, or was this a stronger hook, or was this a stronger hook? It's make or break. So we would test 5 different hooks and lengths of the video for retention. And then what we did for a long time is we would run them as Facebook ads and dark posts. So I'd put $5 on each different edit, send them out to an audience, a random pool of 1,000 people. Because with 1,000 people consuming the content, you're going to get a pretty good idea of which one was just better at top of funnel content, grabbing the most amount of eyeballs, because that's the goal. So we would just test it out like that. And then we would see, whoa, edits 2 and 3. Those, I would not have picked that ones, but the data was undeniable. And then at 1,000 views, you can actually see Facebook will spit you back a retention line, and it'll say, wow, oh, you lost 40% of people right away. Or, hey, your opening hook was great. You had everybody, but you lost 29% of people between seconds 12 and 30 or 12 and 15. What happened right there? Man, maybe you whip panned. Maybe you said something that turned a lot of people off. Maybe you paid it off too early and they were like, cool, got it. But split testing different edits beforehand was absolutely our linchpin to success, and ensured that we knew we were posting the best possible version of our video every single time, which kept our pages really hot and healthy.
Did you make, when you're doing a video, throughout the video, towards the end of the video, is there any type of marketing techniques that you use to get that person to move over to another video or to another video just to keep them engaged?
We just good content.
Yeah.
It's a silly answer maybe, but if the video is good, they're going to naturally just want more of that and be like, oh my gosh, I just stumbled upon this, but what else does this person have? I want to keep consuming this because of how it made me feel. Either it taught them something or it gave them value, a sense of levity, whatever your value prop to the consumer is. If you do it right, I think you'll get them consuming more of your content organically, but we don't have necessarily any cool tips for that. But that feels like more of a YouTube long form question. And I'm just now starting to get into YouTube long form.
Yeah, I think on YouTube, they actually recommend that they don't want you going off platform. So they actually, I've heard that they reward you if you actually watch more of your videos. So encourage them at the end, like, oh, check out our channel. If you like this one, you also might like the one about Norm talking about blah, 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 or whatever. Make sure you check that out. It should be on the right or down below or something. And they say that helps all videos rise because you're keeping them more engagement and on your channel. And there's something. Yeah, it's YouTube. YouTube.
But say YouTube for sure. But say we were a competing podcast and we're kind of talking about the same thing. If you're getting more watch time in with that avatar than I am, who's the algorithm going to serve up? You. So that's a volume game. That's a consumption game. And that's a video link game. Because if we were just putting out the same content, it's equally good and equally consumable. And the avatar is loving both of us equally, but your videos are twice as long and you hold them for longer than I do. They're staying on the platform longer because of you, not me. So when
you launch a video in the Amazon e-commerce space, when we try to launch a product on Amazon, you can't just throw up a product on Amazon and hope that the Amazon algorithm picks you up, especially if it's competitive. And you're going to be in position number 293 on page 19 that nobody goes to. So we have to do what's called a launch, where we actually have to throw some ads behind it. We have to do some little manipulation behind the scenes and some things to actually get us to page one when you type in dog treats or whatever. Yeah. Do you have to do the same thing in video or do you just post it onto your channel and then let's see what happens? Or do you have something like an email list or a newsletter list or another SMS list or something? It's like, hey, we just posted a new video just to get the ball rolling, because that first 30 minutes or hour or 2 hours on latest platforms is critical onto what's going to happen. Do you do anything in that regard, or is that even necessary when it comes to video?
Really haven't seen it be necessary. At least to our success, it hasn't been, because we're creating content not for a dedicated audience. We're creating, this is crazy, you guys. So 2019 to 2023, or actually probably middle of 2024, this last year, everybody was playing to a dedicated audience, and it's all about how many followers you have. And now we are entering into a phase where if you have 400 followers and I have 4 million, we have the exact same chance pretty much of going viral, because it's interest-based marketing now, especially if we're looking at TikTok and TikTok Shop. Your follower count is almost irrelevant. It is 100% interest-based, which is a beautiful thing. Since 2019 to mid last year, we were doing that, but we were having to hack the algorithm. We were hijacking it because we were only making content. We didn't care about our followers, even 7 million follower pages. We were like, peace. We don't necessarily care. We're creating to go to the masses, where we want every piece of content to go into recommendations, and every piece of content would. So we were not beholden to the followers. Even if you blocked our page, our content would still find you. We had it down. So we were having to hijack the algorithm to do what it organically does now in 2025. That is why I am so passionate about letting everybody know how to master organic, because we have never seen this before. You can go viral with a brand new page, with the exact same amount of a chance of doing that. You have the same chance of doing that now as somebody who's
organically, without having to throw at dollars.
Yes, but and here's the beautiful part. Say you're a small taco shop in Florida and you go viral. Awesome. You get 30 million views. Well, that taco shop owner may say, well, it didn't convert to taco sales because it went viral everywhere else and not in Florida. Cool, Brad. Now you know you have a winning piece of content. put $100, $200 behind that and run it to your geographic area, you're just able to test content now at scale for free, especially if you let us teach you how to do it right. That is going to save you so much in ad dollars from just throwing out bad creative. And that's what we've been screaming from the rooftops since 2020. But now the algorithm actually reflects it. So people are finally starting to pay attention.
What happens with TikTok with that algorithm? You just spoke about the algorithm. And the TikTok algorithm, I don't know what their secret sauce is, but it's magical over everybody else. I mean, I always say if you want to know somebody, ask them to borrow their phone for 30 seconds and look what's on their TikTok feed. You'll know who this person is, if they're a pervert, if they're into dogs, if they're into whatever. What happens what do you think is going to happen with this? What's your prediction on what's going to happen with TikTok in April?
I don't think it's going anywhere. It's like trying to put the cat back in the bag. Like when Napster came out and LimeWire, music was never not going to be free again. And I think the same thing is happening with TikTok, to where it's out of the bag. Whether it's TikTok specifically or not, the future of all content is shoppable. TikTok started with the interest-based marketing. They kickstarted this whole thing. Then YouTube Shorts followed, and then Reels followed. But they really started it. So now the cat's out of the bag. So I don't think we're going to see it go away. But even if it does, all algorithms are mimicking what they've done. And all content is also going to be shoppable because of that. And they are just first and best. And so whether they stick around or not, cat's out of the bag. But I would hedge the bet that they're not going anywhere.
What about going forward, 2025? You got any predictions?
Whew. That was one of them. Yeah. And the other one is just, I'm pumped about the future of content being shoppable, being able to shop whatever's on television. You're already seeing that. Being able to just, see, you can even go to see, like, I love this lip gloss. I can take a photo of it, know exactly what it is. I can go to the extension like dupe.com and I can find it cheaper, or I can find a lookalike that Amazon Basics made that just copied that exact same thing. It is just wild of what's happening to commerce. But that's also why I'm wildly passionate about the creator economy, because creators are not just the future of the creator economy. They are the future of the economy. Shopping at large. Everyone shops. Everyone needs socks and underwears and bras. Kind of like, you have to have these things, but we are so wildly leading the way that I'm much more willing to buy from somebody I like, know, and trust, even a nobody. I actually don't trust the bigger celebrities and even the influencers, because I know they're getting paid to say that. I'm trusting the person who has nothing to lose or gain, or really has any skin in the game, if they tell me that this is awesome, because they're a normal person like me, which it democratizes influence, which is such a beautiful thing. And we can't put that cat back in the bag either. That is the future. And so creators are the future of the economy. And if we can teach creators how to become better storytellers and to use this formula, it is game over, not just for them and their financial future, but for the ripple effect of everybody that listens to them.
How's AI affecting what you guys are doing in the video with some of these really sophisticated tools coming out that can create some pretty realistic video, and it's getting better and better and better, like Kling AI and some of these Sora? How is that going to affect what you guys do, or is it not going to affect at all?
I think it's going to affect everybody. And if you don't think it's going to affect you, I think you're silly. I think you have to at least be aware, even if you're not going to utilize it, you have to understand what it's doing to change consumer behavior and trust. Because I think as the pendulum starts to swing and everybody's figuring out how to do AI, and everybody could become a content creator now, but our soul is going to crave the human. So we're still going to trust the human more, because this AI is probably lying to me. AI is just a bunch of great marketers now. So I'm going to crave that humanity, but also we're able to mass test at scale. We're able to create at scale. And that is very, very exciting, and something that we're testing largely because it's dropping our costs. And it's allowing us to just test and iterate quicker and put out more content quicker. But when I really want to build something long lasting, we're still preferring humans. And I think that's always going to be the case.
Hey, Kevin King and Norm Farrar here. If you've been enjoying this episode of Marketing Misfits, thanks for listening this far. Continue listening. We've got some more valuable stuff coming up. be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast player, or if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, make sure you subscribe to our channel because you don't want to miss a single episode of the Marketing Misfits. Have you subscribed yet, Norm?
Well, this is an old guy alert. Should I subscribe to my own podcast?
Yeah, but what if you forget to show up one time and it's just me on here? You're not going to know what I say.
I'll buy you a beard and you can sit in my chair too. And you can go back and forth with one another. Yikes. But that being said, don't forget to subscribe, share it. Oh, and if you really like this content, somewhere up there, there's a banner. Click on it and you'll go to another episode of the Marketing Misfits.
Make sure you don't miss a single episode because you don't want to be like Norm.
Oh. You know, this is just an observation, but have you noticed these big brands who just don't get it? Like Kevin and I have talked about this before, and there's a few commercials. One is a windshield company that just are horrible at trying to make these videos look like a viral video or an influencer-based or creator-based video, and they just don't get it. And I'm seeing more and more of these larger brands do that, and maybe they should start getting a real influencer in there and not a screenwriter or a script writer.
Yes, I 100%. You're seeing all these bigger brands struggle to make relevant content. They think they're being funny, but they're just like, man, it doesn't land. And instead of them trying to figure out how to do it, I agree they should put an influencer in there, bring an in-house intern, social media influencer, or just really a content creator who understands how to speak today's language to sell an unsexy or boring thing. That's going to be the biggest difference. And it's not that expensive to do. That's also why I'm trying to teach creators how to do it, because these big brands are going to be paying for it. And all these creators could be the face of a brand and use their brand dollars to elevate their position, fame, and influence for even if it's a windmill company or a plumbing company or a roofing company. But it's never been a better time to be a creator, and that is not going away. So it's best for creators to learn the skills and how to become marketers now.
Yeah, and I'm getting tired of drive heaving every time they come on. You know, it's just all of a sudden it's my cat reflex. You know, they're horrible.
They need to just hire you guys.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
What to do.
Hey, look, we're getting to the top of the hour. And first of all, I think if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do it? How do they get this great material you've been talking about?
Oh, thank you for that. I'm on Instagram. I'm at Adley. Or you could go to viralish.com. You can check out all of the different ways that we try to serve companies and serve creators to help them become better marketers. Same mission and message as you guys. If we can teach the world how to communicate more effectively, then I think we're doing our work here.
And this course that you've recommended, how you teach people the steps, is that at Viralish, or is that how would they find that?
Yeah, I'd go to Viralish and you can see the different offers, or you go to link in my bio. Really any. But Instagram's probably the easiest, and I'm just at Adley, Adley over there.
That's awesome. Easy. Okay, so at the end of every podcast, we ask our misfits if they know a misfit.
Oh yeah, you know what? I would talk to Brandon Belsky. He's a pretty good one right now. Or I'd talk to Jabron the Creator. Jabron the Creator is a good one.
Very good. Well, that's awesome. So if you can make an introduction, we'd love to have those misfits onto the podcast. But Adley, thanks so much for being on the show today.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, you too. And now I'm going to remove you, but don't go away. We'll come right back to you.
Sounds good. Bye, guys.
Here's the power again. I get to remove somebody.
Wait, do it with your ear this time.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Put it with your ear. People, Connie told me you're multidextrous.
That's a little personal.
I didn't know what that meant. I thought that meant you could push the button with your ear.
Yeah.
Or with your nose. Oh, okay. Norm, that's TMI.
God.
That was awesome. That was a really cool.
She's incredible.
She's awesome. Yeah, she's really cool, doing some really good stuff in the video world. I hope everybody listening took away a lot of that. I know I personally did. I know you did as well. And this is, like she said, the creator economy is an exciting time, and it's moving quickly with what's going on. It went from influencers to creators to now you got the AI component coming in. But the opportunities there, entertainment and entertaining people and making people laugh or getting them to buy things, like she said, it's not going away. It's just the way you do it is going to change. And if you're on the cutting edge of that and understand, she said it several times, it's the psychology. Yep. It's the psychology, and like she said, they figured out the formula, the steps, and they compare every video they do against this formula that they figured out after looking at their most successful stuff. And if you stick to that, your chances of success go way up. And like she said, you got to cut your teeth. You got to put in the hours and put in the work before you actually go somewhere. So I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. If you like the Marketing Misfits, feel free to share this episode with somebody. Hit that share button, or subscribe to the channel as well, or leave us a comment. If you like something that she said, post it down in the comments, or something resonated with you, post that down in the comments for us, or
a review. We might read it,
or even if a review. Norm, he usually reads them from right to left. So if you can write them backwards, he likes a challenge. Yep. So if you can write just write it out, and then paste it in the last word of the sentence. Period. The last word.
Actually, start that from the end. Put that at the beginning. That works better.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it is?
That's what it is this week. Yep.
This week. When you have a toothache. That's what it is.
That's it for today.
That's right. So check us out at marketingmisfits.co. It's not
That's
CO,
correct.
right? No, it's not.
It is CO. It's
Look,
CO.
I finally got it after a year. I finally got it right. It's
you're getting good. You're not slow. You're good.
It's like Adler said. You just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You finally get it right. So yeah, check us out there. Follow us on YouTube. You can hear us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We're back every Tuesday with another amazing episode here on the Marketing Misfits. So cool, man. Norm, looking forward to seeing you again next week.
All right. We will see you soon, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Take care, everybody. Ciao.